New World, the upcoming MMO developed by Amazon. I played for the first time in the closed beta, and I found myself in a weird situation. I really wanted to keep grinding away the beta because I'm having so much fun, but at the same time, I don't want to play too much as I want to experience the game in full when it officially releases on August the 31st. Although, that's a good thing to say about the game, in my opinion. I used to play Guild Wars 2 a lot back in the day. I even crafted a legendary weapon. So if you don't know what that means, basically I no-lifed the game for 3 months for a shiny sword. And I can see a lot of what got me into Guild Wars here in Amazon's New World. However, the game has its own identity as it pulls inspiration from many different games. So let's talk about my first impressions of New World. There's a theme I felt around the entire game, which was impact. You feel it's crafted in a way every single action you do has a very defined impact. Let me elaborate. We can start talking about how this game approaches classes, or the lack thereof, because there are actually no classes in the game and the identity of your character is defined by the gear, attributes you spec on, and weapons you use. Each time you use a weapon to kill them up, you gain experience for that weapon as well as overall XP for your character. Each time your character levels up, you get to spend points into 5 different attributes. These stats define which weapon you're the most effective with and give you some theme buffs related to those attributes. When your weapon levels up, you get points to spend in that specific weapon's progression tree, giving you active abilities and passive buffs, changing the way you fight with that weapon. Each of these systems and points have a very well defined impact on your gameplay, giving you a new active or passive ability or increasing the damage, healing, or overall health you have. By having these classless systems and the ability to respec, the game encourages you to try different combinations and find the one that you like the most. And you can feel the impact of those decisions in-game. This same theme is applied to armor. There are 3 types of armor in the game: light, medium, and heavy. And your character can wear all of them and even mix and match different pieces. Your overall weight is calculated by adding up all your pieces, and it can fall into those 3 previously mentioned categories. Each category gives you particular benefits, like having heavy armor buffing your crowd control abilities and light armor buffing your damage, with medium somewhere in between. The weight of your character also impacts your movement when in combat, so you need to decide if you want to be nimble and squishy or resilient but slower. And lastly, weapons determine the combat abilities you can use. You can carry 2 and swap back and forth during combat. You can carry both a melee and a ranged weapon and create a combat rotation around that, or you could go full melee, range, whatever you like. There are 11 weapons in the game so far, so you have some options. Now let's talk about combat. This game's combat system is action-based. That means you can do heavy and light attacks, block, and dodge. You actually need to aim your skills too. The combat feels slow and deliberate. There's no animation cancel, so you need to find the rhythm of your weapon and make deliberate and calculated choices when fighting. This combat system reminds me a bit of Remnant from the Ashes. If you haven't played that game, think Dark Souls, Bloodborne, God of War, even a fighting game of sorts, but way more simplified. Enemies also hit very hard and can overwhelm you easily. This requires a bit more strategy and positioning than your typical tap targeting MMO. You also have to manage resources. You have stamina, mana, and even ammo. Your dodge and block spend stamina, and your magical attacks spend mana. Also, your ranged weapons that are not magical spend ammo. So the recurring theme here is deliberate decision making. Now, one aspect of the game that made me want to return each day to play more was the world and how you interact with it. The world is beautiful. The graphics are amazing for an MMO, and the density of things in it make it feel real and immersive. One of the reasons for that is that you can interact with almost everything there. I don't remember a game where chopping down trees and gathering strawberries felt so amazing. You can basically chop down every tree you see if you want to, and gather something from every bush, rock, even water. Not to mention that you can even fish, which feels like a well-crafted minigame. But why is it so satisfying though? I think it has to do with the animations, sounds and UI, sure, but also because of the fact that it fits into many of the game's systems. Each time you perform a gathering action, you gain overall character experience, but also gain experience for that specific action. You level up chopping down trees separately from fishing and any other actions. Now that you got those raw materials, you go refine them, which in turn level that specific refinement discipline and gives you more overall character XP. After you get these refined mats, then you're able to go crafting and cooking, which you guessed it, also levels separately and also gives you character XP. You can even craft better gathering tools so you can gather things faster. I'm very familiar with this loop from my Guild Wars days, and I find this being the best implementation of it so far, as it doesn't lock you on any professions to do each of them. You can partake into all of them without any restriction. There are many more systems I could talk about, but I don't want this video to be stupid long. I'll post each topic I find interesting as a separate video so you can choose which ones you want to know about. But you should know the game has opt-in open world PvP, so you can just flag yourself as PvP and go around fighting people that also flag for PvP. You have large-scale PvP wars and PvP activities like quests, dungeons, and invasions where you defend a settlement from hordes of enemies. Up until now, I'm sounding very positive about the game, and that's because I really enjoy it and I want to keep playing it. But that doesn't mean the game doesn't have issues. The ones I've noticed so far are that some quests feel repetitive, and I'd like to see more variety on mechanics and enemy types. I also think the netcode of the game needs polish. Enemies sometimes teleport around you and make combat not feel as good, as each fight is very deliberate and you need that consistency. It feels like having lag on a fighting game, which is not ideal to say the least. There's also an issue I encountered when there was too many players in the same area hunting the same type of enemy you are. Some quests ask you to skin or gather an item that drops on kill, but some of these count for only one player, which doesn't reward you helping others. So you end up competing for mobs as well as trying to find them when there are multiple hunting parties in the area. And then you have fast travel. I get what the game wants to do and the choice of not having mounts. However, it would be great if you could have some sort of limited faster travel. And I'm not talking about the one that uses ASAP. For example, you could make it a feature for settlements to build railroads that also need to be maintained by players. Those tracks could be limited, maybe taking you from one settlement to the immediate next, and it will be the player's responsibility to maintain the service up and running. You could even incorporate the same tax system crafting and trading have. It's just one of many ideas that could provide a middle ground between what the developers intended and a bit more quality of life for players. Also another thing to do. And one more thing, please let me access the inventory without interrupting some other actions, like mining or auto running. It would make such a big difference. The game also has some bugs, but I didn't find any, at least for my sessions, to be game breaking. There's also another thing that we need to keep in mind, which is the cash shop. The game features a cash shop, but it was disabled for the beta, so we have no idea what they will sell and for how much. We'll have to review that when the game comes out. Hopefully there's nothing outrageous there. Despite these flaws, I find the game a lot of fun so far, and I hope Amazon can improve these mechanics over time, as well as adding more content. I can see myself playing many hours when the game goes live and partaking into all it has to offer. Will I be maining this game? I think it's too early to tell and depends on how often Amazon updates the game and how well they keep the population engaged as time goes by. And I for sure will be carving some time to do content about this game while also working on my Destiny videos. That isn't going anywhere either. So if you find New World interesting and want more videos, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. But that's it for now. I'm Apollo and I'm out. What the fuck's going on here? Alright, Human Centipede, let's go. Yeah, this is what I like to see on my MMOs. Social interaction. Oh yes.